All right, so JD Vance is giving a speech today in Boston, the same exact place that Tim Walz was yesterday at the firefighters union. So they are allowing both candidates to come in, give their speech, and we can kind of gauge where the support is actually at because it's the same people, same event. We'll see here. Oh, they got the music though. Gotta kill the music. There we go.
Guys, thank you so much. Well,
why's the volume down so low? Somebody's screaming at him.
Guys, we got some. It sounds like we got some fans and some haters. That's okay. Listen to what I have to say here. And
oh, he's getting booed.
My pitch. I want to first say thank you to Representative Jimenez for the great introduction. It's very kind of you. Thank you for your service to our country. The only career firefighter in the United States Congress. So thrilled to have you on our side and thrilled to have you fighting for America's firefighters. Let's give it up for Representative Jimenez.
10 U.S. Code 12302 allows the Secretary of Defense to recall retired soldiers to active duty in times of war or national emergency. You're never out, brother. 07, thank you for your service. Nope, I didn't retire. So technically, because I'm not retired, they can't call me for that order, right? We got to do the lawyer thing where you have to like specifically define everything. So because I didn't retire and I only did 10 years, I'm separated. So it doesn't count for me. Are you a lawyer? No. Yeah. No, they're not calling me back. They can't call me back. I'm not doing it.
Now, I also want to thank President Kelly and every single IAFF member for your warm welcome. It is an honor to be here with America's incredible firefighters, and I'm honored to be here. God bless you guys, and thanks for what you do. Now, I do have some news to break this morning. I guess I just heard on the ride over here that the New York City Fire Marshals Benevolent Association has endorsed the Trump-Vance ticket. I, of course, want to thank them for their support, and I want to humbly ask all of you to join them, and I'd like to explain why.
Okay.
Now, the American people respect you. They respect firefighters, and we're eternally grateful for the valiant work you do for our communities and for our neighborhoods.
I separated and waited my 2 years of IRR free at last. I don't think I'm on IRR anyway. I think because I did 10 years active duty, I think a lot of what I always heard is if you did 4 years active, you would have 4 years IRR. But I think if you got past the 8 years, you didn't actually go into the IRR. I'm not positive on that, but I'm pretty sure I don't have time in that.
Every day, firefighters risk your lives to save homes, businesses, and the precious lives of our fellow citizens. Now, you're also incredibly kind and patient. As the father of a 7-year-old, a 4-year-old, and a 2-year-old, I have been to firehouses all over this country in San Diego, Atlanta, and New York City, and of course, many in my home state of Ohio. And despite the fact you guys are probably annoyed to have a few young kids drop in, you were always unfailingly kind and patient, and I'm grateful to it. It's one of the reasons we love our firefighters in this country. You all are the embodiment of American spirit. Heroic, determined, selfless, hardworking, and tough. This country was built by people like you. America is great because of people like you, and I believe you deserve a government that is loyal to you.
I wonder what the guy was heckling him about. I couldn't really hear the audio, hear what he was screaming at him, but he settled down now.
Now, I know Governor Tim Walz was here yesterday, and I'm glad he was able to come. And I respect this union for inviting both sides to take the stage and to make the case to all of our membership. And of course, that's what democracy is about. You listen to both sides, you weigh their records, you weigh their plans, and then you vote. And so today I'm asking you to ignore the campaign rhetoric and look at the record. In 2019, this union endorsed a Democrat for president with high hopes. But sadly, I believe you've been let down. Now let's talk about the issues that affect all Americans, and then let's talk about some of the issues that affect just firefighters. But all Americans are affected by this terrible inflation crisis. And under President Trump, wages were rising, and nobody was really talking about inflation in 2020 in this country. But under the economic mismanagement of this administration, firefighters have had already strained budgets and pensions stretched to the breaking point by this affordability crisis. With President Trump at the helm, our border was secure and drug trafficking was down. And under the open border policies of this administration, America has experienced a massive increase and a massive influx of illegal aliens and deadly drugs. And I know that a lot of you are on the front lines fighting against it. Enough fentanyl has poured into this country under Kamala Harris's leadership to kill every single American, man, woman, and child.
Jesus.
And firefighters and EMTs every single day are fighting against this crisis. I know it because I've seen you in my communities, and I admire you for it. Now, when I visit a factory or some other place of business, I always ask the workers there, are you better off than you were 4 years ago? And the answer is almost always no. Now, I want to ask the firefighters in this room a slightly different but a related question. Are you administering less Narcan today than you were 4 years ago? My guess is that for almost every person in this room, the answer is unfortunately no, and that was a policy choice of the President administration. Now, you are so often the first to respond when someone is suffering an overdose. You try to help our fellow citizens living with addiction to survive those overdoses and to be able to build a second chance at a better life. And I know, and I've seen it very personally, you try desperately to revive parents who took something they shouldn't, all while comforting the children who are terrified that they might lose their mom or dad. I've spoken to so many firefighters and EMTs over the years who are on the front lines of this drug war, this addiction crisis. They revive people who took fentanyl, they rescue their children, and they even sometimes, as you all know, put out fires that were started by drug addicts. And one of the things they confess to me in private, though I know you would never say this in public, is their fear that they aren't making a difference. Now, there's a hidden trauma among our firefighters. I don't think I'm telling you anything you don't know. A trauma that comes from staring death in the eye every single day and worrying that you are fighting a losing battle. And I just want you to hear it from me that I understand. But I want you to hear a story, a very personal story. When I was 12, my mom was in the middle of a terrible, terrible addiction crisis herself. She struggled with it for most of my early childhood. And I remember during a particularly bad episode, I called 911. Like so many kids who have parents who struggle, I called 911. Now the firefighters, the EMTs, and the police came. They calmed her down, but as you all know, they calmed me down too. They calmed my sister down. They did that public service that only they can do. Now, years later, she took something else that she shouldn't have taken. And the firefighters and the EMTs, they saved her life and took her to the hospital where she lay in a coma before eventually waking up.
Wow.
And I want you to know that for us, we did get a second chance. And so if you're ever worried that you're not making a difference, listen to this. From the sad and tearful 12-year-old to a 40-year-old who's now asking to be your vice president, you do make a difference. You make a difference every single day, and I thank you for it.
I don't think anybody's saying that firefighters don't make a difference. I don't think anyone's ever said that.
Now, you might not always see it, and you might not hear it, and I know that a lot of the people that you're out there fighting for and saving, sometimes they don't say thank you. But my mom, as much as she struggled with addiction for a big chunk of my early life, when you saved her life, when you gave her a second chance, she got clean, and she's been clean and sober for now almost 10 years. And God bless her, and God bless all of you for fighting for her. So believe it from me, believe it from a kid who's seen it with his very own eyes. You are making a difference. You are saving lives, and you are giving people an opportunity at a second chance, even if you don't see them take that opportunity every single time. God bless you guys. I love you for it, and I'm so grateful for it. We wouldn't have the second chance with my mom without probably some of the people that are sitting in this room.
So what he needs to do is he needs to take questions. Tim Walz was there yesterday, didn't take any questions. He retreated off stage. Obviously, there's some people out there that don't like him, don't like JD Vance, not Tim Walz. There's some people there in the crowd right now who do not like him. So what he needs to do is take questions from those people. Pretty common sense, right? Take questions from them. That would be the ultimate one-up from your opponent who was just there yesterday.
Now, while overwhelming America's firefighters and EMTs, Kamala Harris's open border policy, it's also depleting our budgets. New York City Mayor Eric Adams, not a fan of mine or President Trump, said that illegal immigration will destroy New York City due to the huge financial strain, which is about $12 billion over the next 3 years, and that's just in New York City.
Harris and Walz interview tonight. Yeah, I saw that this morning, but it's not until like 9 p.m. Also, it's on CNN, I think, if I read that right. It was one of those major networks who most likely, if I were to stream it, they would immediately copyright strike me. It's one of those like legacy media bastards that don't want to have commentary on it.
The mayor announced sweeping budget cuts that would slash $300 million from the fire department and cut the number of police officers to the lowest level since the 1990s. And it's the same story all over the United States of America. Illegal immigration cost Chicago taxpayers $361 million last year. Denver is shelling out $180 million. Washington, D.C. is paying $36 million. If we don't secure our border soon, my friends, our cities are going to have to cut vital police, fire, and emergency medical services to the bone. And it's you who's going to suffer, and it's the people you serve who are going to suffer. We shouldn't be forced to spend billions of dollars on people who aren't even supposed to be here. We should be spending that money on schools, police and fire departments, and our citizens. And under President Donald J. Trump's leadership, we will. Now, here's another promise, not just a promise based on some plan that's written on a website, but based on the real record.
So what I saw this morning, yesterday, everybody was criticizing Harris for needing her VP in the interview, which is fair. I mean, you just got to be fair about it. That's fair that she should actually sit down and do an interview on her own. Immediately, you see on X, they try to find every president that sat down with their VP, take pictures of it to try and pretend like it's normal for them to do that, which it would be normal. It is normal, but are they using a yellow filter on this stream? I don't know. Their camera is a little bit weird and tinted. I don't know what they're doing there. It is kind of off. Also, their mics are not that great, which is kind of common, I guess. But anyway, you see, they try to find pictures to show, oh, here's Biden doing an interview with Kamala, and here is Obama doing an interview with Itchy. Anyway, they were saying they're just showing like all of the VPs with presidents in the interviews, trying to act like it was natural. It wasn't natural. It's weird. It's a little bit weird that she hasn't done an interview and she has to have Walz in this one. Have they tried letting in more illegal immigrants, making them legal? Then they pay taxes for more to come in. Try this one simple trick. Yeah, I mean, that would totally work if it wasn't for our limited supply of housing. And their plan is to let them in and give them money and free healthcare that we can't afford. It's an emotional thing for them. I get it. They want to help everyone, but numbers are kind of a big deal. And you even see it like her famous speech was to tell people to come in because we're going to give you healthcare, we're going to give you all these benefits. And the famous speech later by Harris was, "Do not come," because she was incentivizing all of these people to come in, and then she tells them don't come. It doesn't work like that. You tell people you're going to give them free housing and medical, and they got jobs, and they can get a stipend from the government. Of course they're going to come here. Even if you say don't come, of course they're going to come and get the benefits. I heard and noticed they did joint interviews after they announced their VP pick, but not a month later, and no solo interviews. Exactly. It's not weird that she's doing it with her VP. It's weird that her first interview of not having any interviews at all is with her puppy dog. You know, her like lap dog there. I don't get it. And it's obvious that people are calling her out for it. So all she has to do is to stop the Republicans bashing her that she can't speak to the media. It's just do an interview. Like you're a president, or not a president candidate. So why can't you just go talk to the media? She now wants to build a wall to keep all the people she told to come out. Yeah, she flipped on that too. She flipped on being in control of the border. Now I wasn't in control of the border. I think a wall's stupid. Now I love the wall and we're going to build the wall. It's just crazy. She's edging. I don't know, man. I don't know what's going on with her.
Donald Trump is president, we won't sit on our hands while rioters and arsonists burn down American cities like they did to Minneapolis in 2020. Now, I'd ask you to remember the scene back in the summer of 2020, state troopers in full riot gear protecting the firefighters of Minneapolis from the rabid mob that was torching down that city. And we have to ask, why were they doing it? And part of the reason they were doing it is because people like Tim Walz invited those rioters into Minneapolis, and it was people like Donald Trump who were trying to send in the National Guard to protect them, to protect you. And we sure as hell...
This audience does not like him. It's very clear that they were in favor of Tim and not him.
Not bail out the criminals like Kamala Harris did. The criminals, many of whom were going after our firefighters as they tried to keep our cities safe and put out the fires. We're going to put criminals behind bars where they belong, and we will always stand with the courageous firefighters and the first responders who keep this country safe every single day.
There's finally some applause. It's weak, though.
President Trump and I are proud to be the most pro-worker Republican ticket in history, and I want to talk about why we're fighting for working people, why we're going to fight for unions. And
look, he's getting booed.
Non-union alike. Now,
what's going on, Paul?
Enemies and a lot of Democrats call us populists, like it's something of an insult.
Single person applaud.
But if being a populist means being on the side of working people rather than the powerful elites who hollowed out our middle class and sent us into stupid foreign wars, then sign me up. I am a populist, and I'm proud of it.
They don't like him.
Now, for decades, unions have given support to Democrat candidates without giving Republicans much consideration, and I'm not here to judge you or to blame you or to criticize you. I am here to tell you that it's a different world now. You may have noticed that Donald Trump is not exactly like Mitt Romney or some of the Republicans of the past. He is a different kind of Republican. And under his leadership, the Republican Party is the party of the American worker. Now just think about the Republican and Democrat conventions we just had. It says a lot who each party chose to put up on that stage. At the Republican convention, we were featuring everyday American workers, and of course, we had Hulk Hogan. And while it's tempting, and I'm sure it would make some big headlines, don't worry, everybody, I'm not going to try to take off my shirt here.
Thank
God.
God.
At the Democrat convention, it was a parade of celebrities and billionaires. It felt sometimes like every celebrity except for Hulk Hogan was at the Democratic National Convention. And I don't blame anybody for being famous or for making money, But you cannot be a champagne socialist who supports open borders and pretend that you're a friend of working men and women. It doesn't make an ounce of sense, my friends. It just...
I kind of agree with the point he's making, because even in Harris's speech at the DNC, she keeps trying to say that she is the underdog, but yet the entire global Hollywood industry was behind her. How are you the underdog? It doesn't make sense at all. You're leading in the polls, but yet you're an underdog. That makes no sense to me at all. And I thought Hulk Hogan was cool. Just gonna say it. I thought it was cool. Hadn't seen that dude for a long time, so he was pretty cool. Paul says, chilling like a villain. That's good. We are almost to the weekend, so glad you're able to kick it.
This doesn't. The most profound moment for me at either convention was the American hero who couldn't be there. And I think we're all united in celebrating and remembering Corey Comparatori, a great American, a great fire chief, a great husband, and a great father. But while the assassin in Butler, Pennsylvania barely missed Donald Trump...
What state recently rolled back workers' breaks and heat waves? I don't know anything about that. I didn't hear anything about that. What I did hear about is I just got a like over there on YouTube. So hell yeah. There we go. Getting some likes. I'll look it up though. Let's see what's going on with that.
He took the life of that great firefighter, a selfless patriot, and a respected citizen in his community. Now, at the convention, President Trump stood beside Corey's helmet and gear and called for a moment of silence. And I'll tell you, there wasn't a dry eye in the arena in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Our nation wept for Corey, just as our nation weeps for all the firefighters and the first responders who lost their lives in the service of others. Now, of course, I couldn't help but notice this wall beside me with names, I believe, 644 names. Is that right? 644 names of firefighters and emergency medical workers, proud IAFF members who have passed since your last convention. And I just want to tell you, seeing that wall breaks my heart, and it gives me a sense of renewed commitment to everything that you're doing. And I think just as it's fitting to remember the sacrifice of Corey Comparatori, we should also take a moment. Let's take a moment of silence and remember the 644 of your brothers and sisters who have passed. Thank you all.
Paul says, Florida or Texas? That's my state. What side were those states on, red or blue? Hold on, I got it right here, actually. 1 second. So this is what Never Forget was talking about, and it's actually my state. I didn't even know about this. This is back in April. It says Florida baffles experts by banning local water break rules as deadly heat is on the rise. And I can tell you firsthand, here in Florida, it's hot as fuck. It's bad. It's humidity. It's the sun. It feels like death when you go outside. If it's not a rainy day where the clouds are out, my God, I stay inside. It's awful. But yeah, I guess it was Florida. What's the justification here? Miami-Dade County under a proposal that suggested mandated breaks in the shade on the hottest days, but Florida said no. So maybe they didn't do it, actually. We gotta actually read. That's probably important, not just to look at the headlines. The county's proposal to establish heat rules for workers has been preempted by a new law. Florida has joined Texas in banning such local rules for outdoor workers. So Florida and Texas actually are banning that. Meanwhile, California, Colorado, Minnesota, Oregon, and Washington have passed laws giving more protections to construction workers who work in extreme heat. So what are they trying to say? Here we go. Florida's new law has frustrated and angered some experts and advocates for construction workers and farm workers. As summer gets hotter over the years, outdoor workers will need more protection, not fewer. Okay, what is the law exactly, though? Here we go. The law will primarily affect low-income workers of color. Okay, but what's the law? Extreme heat kills and maims. What's the law, though? Some farm workers aren't allowed to take breaks. Some farm workers in Florida aren't allowed to take breaks, don't have access to shade, and are pushed to work faster. So I guess they're just not letting them take breaks. I'd like to see it like spelled out. Like, what are they trying to say? Like, you What are the conditions, you know? Federal laws already prohibit unsafe work conditions, which makes added local rules unnecessary. Red state for sure. Yeah, they're saying red states. Nobody cares about workers more than a Republican. That's harsh. Our weather in WA is pretty chill. You can handle snow. Yeah, this I didn't even, I didn't know about this. Of course, I just got to Florida, so I want to what's the rule exactly though? It doesn't really say. Well, here's the new law. Hopefully they don't like try to give me something stupid like a dumb ad like that. Florida joins Texas in banning local heat protections for outdoor workers. Only 5 states offer statewide heat protections from outdoor workers. Some of the nation's hottest states, including Texas, Arizona, and now Florida, do not. Florida will become the second state to stop local governments from requiring heat protection for outdoor workers. The law, which DeSantis signed last week, goes into effect on July 1st and establishes multiple restrictions for city and county government, including ability to set heat exposure requirements not already required under state and federal law. Okay, so that's what they're saying. So they're not required to give a break. So if you get stuck working for a terrible worker or terrible boss rather, then they could, overstep their bounds and potentially that somebody could die. It's hot here. I can tell you, like, it's really hot here. And there is another like there. All right. We're up to 3 now. Definitely feeling the likes. But yeah, never forget, you are right there. That's Florida. That is a Republican, mostly Republican. Can we say Florida's probably Republican? There's definitely a huge Democrat population as well. I mean, you do get a mix as much as people think this is like MAGA country. If you go to like Lineage is a coffee chain here. If you go into Lineage, like you've stepped into Democrat world, especially places like the bigger towns like Orlando, Tampa, huge Democrat population, but still Florida. I don't know. When I think Florida, I think red for some reason.
Now, Donald Trump, I will tell you, sometimes even when he has to fight his own party, he cares for working people and he's been fighting for them for his entire life in public service. He loves our firefighters and our first responders, and he wants to make your lives better. And he wants to make your service easier. It's never going to be easy, but maybe it can be a little bit easier than it is right now. And we have to be honest, my friends, the hard truth is that Kamala Harris is the latest in a long line of Democrats who come by every few years asking unions for money and promising you the moon, but often failing to deliver. And I'd ask you, after supporting Democrats for so long in this union, what has it gotten you? Over the past 70 years, union membership in this country, and this is not a good thing, but it has declined. The influence of unions has declined, and the wages of working people, union and non-union alike, have not kept up with the pace of inflation over the last 3.5 years.
Right.
So I want to ask you a question that Donald Trump asked America in 2016, what the hell do you have to lose? Now, I know this is a diverse union. Some of you love President Trump and some of you clearly don't. I've heard from both sides just giving this little speech. Now, this may come as a shock to you, but once upon a time, I wasn't a Trump guy either. And trust me, the president never lets me forget it. What you may not know is why I changed my mind. And it was actually in big part because of a firefighter friend from Dayton, Ohio, who persuaded me that I was wrong about Donald Trump and that he was right. And by the way, while we're talking about Dayton, can I give a shout out to Dayton Firefighters Local 136? Where are we, Dayton? God bless you guys, and God bless you for your
Didn't Biden side with the railroad and force the union to stop the strike? I don't know. I'm actually not sure. Let me check.
Now, my buddy Matt, I won't give his last name because I don't want to embarrass him, but Matt was trying to convince me to trust Donald Trump in 2016. But the truth is, I didn't fully believe in the promises Trump made. I didn't believe in the promises that any politician made, and you shouldn't either. But I didn't change my mind because of Donald Trump's promises. I changed my mind because he did a good job for the American people. He created a booming economy with rising wages and virtually no inflation. He stood up to China and reinvigorated American manufacturing. He kept us out of ridiculous foreign wars. And time after time, I saw that when Donald Trump makes a promise, my friends, he keeps it. Now just look at the promises he kept to our firefighters during his first term. He extended the AFG and SAFER authorizations to make sure firefighters got the...
So Chad, yeah, you are actually right here. Let me bring it up. So here's Time, and Time is, usually notorious for being on the left, and even they're kind of calling out Biden as well. Says why Union Joe chose to make it illegal for rail workers to strike. And as I come down here, it says Biden decided the broader economy was a bigger priority than 100,000 freight rail workers having any paid sick leave in their next contract. After campaigning as the most pro-union presidential candidate in history, Biden signed into law a measure that makes a rail strike illegal. So yeah, he did shut them down. So that's a little, I didn't know that actually. I learned something today. I didn't know about this.
The funding they need. He signed a $100 million increase for firefighters during the midst of the pandemic. He signed legislation to improve wildfire suppression and forest management. And he signed an executive order to allow unions to create apprenticeship programs, helping you all recruit and train a new generation of firefighters. They tasked his EPA with addressing dangerous chemicals like PFAS to ensure safe firefighter gear. And I'll tell you, I share President Trump's commitment, and I speak for President Trump in saying that we are dedicated to health, to safety, and to the prosperity of our first responders, including our firefighters. Now, a lot of Democrats want to attack Republicans as being anti-union, and sometimes the shoe fits, but not me and not Donald Trump. When I was in the Senate, I voted to pass the Fire Grants and Safety Act, which authorized hundreds of millions of dollars in grant funding to local firefighters.
At least they're clapping now,
And as Vice President,
a little bit.
I will fight to ensure you get the resources you need, especially in some fast-growing places like Phoenix and Las Vegas, where we need more firehouses, not more shelters to house illegal aliens. And after talking extensively with the local volunteer fire department that braved the hazmat to respond to the disastrous East Palestine train derailment, I was proud to work across the aisle to produce the Railway Safety Act. And our bipartisan bill increased funding for communities to prepare for hazardous material spills and mandated that first responders always be notified when hazardous materials are being transported on rail lines in their communities. It's just common sense. You got to tell people what you're bringing into their communities if you're bringing it in the first place. Now,
so he just started talking about building apartments to house the illegal aliens. I saw this morning. I thought it was kind of crazy, so I'll bring it up here just so you guys can see it. There we go. It says an armed illegal alien street gang gang from Venezuela seizes an apartment complex in Aurora, Colorado. Residents are terrified. Meanwhile, Joe Biden is on his second vacation in 2 weeks, and Kamala Harris is preparing for her first interview in 40 days. Who is running the country? So I haven't actually watched the video. Let's check it out. So they're just taking over the building. This is from a Ring doorbell, or a Blink rather. So they just take it over. They're like, oh, this is ours now. Thanks. What the hell, guys? Are they where's the police? Are they gonna do anything? Like, who's the owner of the building? I have so many questions. Yeah, I guess that's a thing.
You may remember a lot of businesses didn't like that bill, but the railway union supported it, and President Trump and I fought for it, and we're still fighting for it to this very day. Now, speaking of East Palestine, I learned in talking to the local fire department there that our firefighters experience higher rates of cancer. You all know this, of course. That's why I voted for a 5-year reauthorization to the firefighter cancer registry last year, and I know when President Trump is elected, we're going to prioritize firefighter research and addressing the health risks that every single one of you take upon yourself to fight for our citizens every single day. Now, look, when President Trump returns to the White House, and I believe that he will, we are always going to have an open door for the membership of this organization and the leadership of this organization, and that's true whether it's this union or other unions or anybody else. We're going to have an open door for working people because we want to fight for working people every single day. We will respect your right to engage in collective bargaining.
Trump passed something on his way out giving asylum to Venezuela, and that is crazy AF. Is YouTube getting throttled again? Not right now. So far, it's good. I don't have like a lot of likes, so people aren't coming into the chat or into the stream. So that's probably what's going on with that. Or maybe they're not sending impressions out as much, but at least the video feed is going. Yeah, Paul, you are absolutely right about Trump doing that. You can see it here from Politico, but there's a difference between, like, we could argue, should we have asylum from Venezuela? That's definitely on the table to argue that. But this is just people that are here taking over an apartment complex, which is completely a different conversation, you know? It's just, I don't know. It's insane. Got another like there, though. So I thank you for the 4th like there. Appreciate that very much. And we'll see what else he has to say. And the 5th like. There we go. Like it. We're up to 5 now.
Including your right to speak out about unconstitutional COVID vaccine mandates imposed by the current administration. We're going to abolish every single mandate, and we're going to fight to rehire every firefighter who was wrongly terminated with all the back pay that they deserve. We're going to deliver the equipment and the funding, the support and respect you all need to do your job. And we're going to seal that border and stop the flood of fentanyl that is poisoning our citizens and endangering each and every single one of you when you go to work. And here's another promise. We're going to protect your pensions because heroes like you deserve to retire with dignity and to enjoy the blessings of the country that you helped build and help protect.
I agree. That shit is crazy. And I grew up in the hood. Yeah, like we can definitely argue if we should have asylum seekers, obviously from a torn country like Venezuela. That's a completely different conversation from someone actually being here and having gangs and taking over an apartment complex by force. That's insane, especially in America.
And it's not just words. It's not just promises that I'm making. I am actually a co-sponsor of the Social Security Fairness Act, and I'm proud of it. I think it's ridiculous to penalize our firefighters in retirement for doing the right thing and fighting for our communities. Now, look, I know you do a hard and dangerous job. You spend long hours away from your family. The work can leave physical and emotional scars, and I've seen it even in the firefighters that I know. Frankly, you don't get paid what you deserve. But you don't do it for fame and you don't do it for fortune. You do it, and I know this, because you love your communities.
Another YouTuber I watch sometimes said something that I agree with. If they are a war-torn refugee, definitely come. If you're in danger, if you're an economical refugee because you voted that way, stay home and fix it. I mean, ultimately, that's what you would hope for the people, is that they would stay in their own country and try to fix the conditions that led them there. And you can kind of see it in locations like Venezuela, but you have corrupt people in power who might not accept election results, and then how do you fix it at that point? Do you overthrow the government? Is that the plan? Do you have a civil war? Like, Jesus. Not if their elections are rigged. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. If you try to vote and your vote's not being heard, then what do? Really, all you have left at that point is violence. So sounds good when people are like, oh yeah, you need to go out there and riot and fight for your country. But realistically, most people probably have families. And if the US is like, hey, come over here, you can come over here, live the American dream, of course they're going to flee. You know, nobody actually wants to fight and die for a government that they don't even believe in. You got to think like these people that are dealing with election fraud probably don't have a whole lot of faith in their country. It's kind of like how we went over to Afghanistan, and as we were trying to train the like Afghan people over there to defend their country, most of them won't do that because they don't have a sense of patriotism in their own country. It's not worth it to them. There's no like nationality there. They don't have American flag US like we do, you know, USA. No, they're smaller groups over in Afghanistan. They're from certain regions that maybe they relate to more, but they don't have that national pride. If you run against Putin, get window cancer. What? I don't get that. Well, they always say that you can only vote your way into communism. You can never vote your way out. Exactly. And I think a lot of them are looking at their country like, well, this place is fucked already, so I'm going to bail. You know, if America is going to go give me free housing, free healthcare, you know, free paycheck until I find work or whatever, it's a good deal for them. You know, it's a good deal. Why would they not come? Why, honestly, if you were in their situation, you would probably do the same thing. I just got another sub over on YouTube. I'm at 870 now, so thank you guys for that.
And I think you deserve to live in a country where people like you and your children can afford to live the American dream in the cities and towns that all of us love. You deserve to live in a country where you can buy a home, put gas in your car, provide health care and education to your family, and put a nice meal on the table. A country where kids can walk safe streets, go to safe schools, and have the freedom to just be kids. A country where if you work hard and play by the rules, you can live a good life. Now, these aren't Democrat or Republican principles, but they are the principles that President Trump and I are fighting for on this campaign, and we're going to fight for it every single day in the White House. And that's why I want to ask you humbly for your support. President Trump and I want exactly what you want. More jobs, rising wages, a secure border, safe streets, and an affordable country where every child and every family can achieve their dreams. Now, he delivered that during his first 4 years as president. He changed my mind, and he won my vote. And for the skeptics still out there, I hope he has changed your minds too. But I'll tell you, whatever your politics and whatever your preferences...
This guy needs to take some questions. That's what he needs to do. We definitely did not think they were going to just bug out like they did in Afghanistan. Do you mean the Iraqi, or not Iraqi, Afghan forces? Or are you talking about our withdrawal? You get thrown out a window, poison. Oh, I got you. Okay, I see what you're saying.
I make this solemn promise. Whether you support us or not, whether you ultimately endorse us or not, President Trump and I believe in our firefighters, we believe in our first responders, and we will never stop fighting for you. I am rooting for you. I am proud of you. I am thankful for you. God bless you. I want your support. We're going to fight for you whether we get it or not. God bless you guys, and thank you.
We're going to take some questions. That's what we're going to do. Don't you walk off that stage. There's some boos, too. You hear the boos? The forces? Yeah, we couldn't comprehend that they weren't going to fight for their own country because we feel so strongly about patriotism here. But it's just completely different for them.